And I was on the Division I team. I wasn't on the Division II team, just in case you guys were wondering. But yeah, intramurals is a fun time around here, and our kids love it.
You remember who some of the players, some of your teammates you played with?
Oh my! I did. I think we had James Chappell and Ivan Brewington and a couple of my roommates, you know, that you guys might not have heard of before, but we did some good things in those intramural games. Played against guys like Rod Gardner and those guys.
I remember him.
In fact, I think we beat him one time.
Did he push? Did Rod push?
Yeah, that's right. He pushed me and I got a foul. But what an honor it is for me and privileged to be part of this program. You know, this is my 5th year speaking to you all. Can't believe it. 5th time doing it. I guess I've just finished my 4th full year. But it's just an honor, and I know I've said that in the past, but just to be able to work here in this environment and work under Coach Sweeney and his leadership and President Clements and Dan Radakovich and the environment that they create here at Clemson, it's just an incredible experience. And obviously the culture that you hear about all the time is real. You can feel it and touch it, and what a big part of that is part of our recruiting process as well. And it's because of the people. It's because of the people that are involved in this thing, and that's what makes it so special. So first off, I just wanted to thank Coach Sweeney and what he does for this program, and what he does for all the people that are involved in this program, and for the players that he gets to touch every single day. This staff that I get to work with, incredible. We talk about a group of passionate men that go out on that recruiting trail, and there are no egos. There's no egos. It's not about getting a raise or getting whatever for signing more guys than the next guy. It's about a team effort. And you know, you look at this board and the guys that we sign. You know, you can put 2 or 3 names on almost every one of them. And then whenever they get here, it is so critical to be around this place in the recruiting process, obviously, but it's because of all the support staff that we have that are really, really involved, and they don't get the recognition, but they're so involved. You know, with the GAs and the player development guys and the analysts and the student workers that spend all kinds of time in this building, not just doing football stuff, but helping us in recruiting. And when we have guys on campus that are helping us, not just organize, but just to be around them and just to make sure that they feel like they are part of a family, make these families feel like they're part of this thing. And you know, guys like Brad Scott, incredible influence on the recruits that we get here. Woody McCorvey, what a mentor to every one of us in this building, and a big part of the recruiting process. Thad Turnipseed, obviously we wouldn't be in this room, be in this awesome facility if it wasn't for Thad and what, you know, his direction in these facilities, and then, you know, kind of directing the overall recruiting process. And then I just can't say enough about Jordan Sorrells and his staff. Jordan Sorrells does so much work that y'all don't even realize, from the travel and the organization. And I mean, you wouldn't believe what goes into all the things that he has to deal with. Obviously Ty Clements at his side, and Justin Spiros, who just left to go to Cleveland Browns. But what a great worker he was for us. You look at our video department, Todd Green, Henry Guess, and those guys. Tireless hours now to get these videos that y'all see in recruiting and that we get to send out, and that all these recruits get to see, and then when they're here on campus, whether it's an official visit or an unofficial visit, and they're amazing videos, the best I've been around. Abe Reed and Nick Yarrett in the equipment room downstairs, they do an incredible job of making it look great whenever we go down into the locker room with these players and prospects, and they, believe me, that's a big part of these recruits. That's what they want to see. That's a big part of what they like. You know, what is the equipment like? And it takes a lot of organization through Abe Reed and Nick down there. Paul Journey, Jeff Davis, you've heard it a million times. We're about off the field, you know, what we teach our players, what we teach them to help them get ready for life after football, and how important that is, and what Paul Journey does with Jeff Davis, Rashard Hall, and Savannah Bailey, it's incredible. Our players love going into their offices every day and just communicating with them and creating that bond with Paul Journey. Alex Bina, who works downstairs in our new science lab, you know, he does an incredible job. That has been an eye-opener for our recruits to come in here and see what we have to offer for recovery for our athletes. Donna McCain down in the Paul Bistro and what she is able to do with our nutrition is incredible. And Paul, obviously, a big part of it, the nutrition and just making sure we're on track. Danny Poole, you know, a big part of our tours is obviously going through the training room. The moms and dads and the parents, they want to know what's going on in that training room and who's in charge, and he does a great job. Obviously, academically, Matt Lombardi and his staff over at the Near East Center. Every time we have a visit, official or unofficial, it goes over. We go over there and make sure we sell that, and obviously a big part of who we are. Strength staff with Joey Batson, incredible. I mean, Joey's been here for 20 plus years, was here whenever I played here, so just an incredible resume that he has, and just a greater person, not just a great coach, but a greater person, great heart, and these kids love him and love the opportunity to meet him on these visits. DJ Gordon, Mike Dooley, all are a big part of it. Jennifer Benton, I'll say this, she works tirelessly in the back there with travel, trying to get us all of our flights and all of our rental cars, and comes and helps us with our travel receipts, all the stuff that's time consuming. She makes it so much easier. And I know I stand up here every year and say this stuff, but it's important that those people hear that from me and from Coach Sweeney, just how important it is to thank them, because they do a lot of work, and sometimes they get unnoticed, but they are incredible, and we couldn't do it without them. And so I just wanted to reiterate that to you all before, you know, I really open it up to questions. I know Coach really hit on a lot of our recruiting stuff with some of the numbers, so you all have that, but just really wanted to open it up to questions from you guys, if there are any that I can answer.
Brandon, Tyson, you have one quarterback taking this class. What is it about him that you saw in the recruiting process that made you want to offer him and take his commitment?
Well, number one, as you know, how I do recruiting with the quarterbacks is I want to make sure it's the right fit. I mean, we all do as coaches here at Clemson. We want to make sure it's the right fit, but I just want to be very thorough and make sure that they understand the process and they understand not just the football piece, but the things outside of football. Just want to make sure that they have the character that can fit in our room. My quarterback room right now is as good as it's ever been as far as the character and work ethic and just being great teammates. And so when I got to meet Tyson for the first time and/or talk to him on the phone for the first time, I could tell immediately how grounded he was and how he was brought up from his family, and just a neat family guy. And that's what we're about here, obviously. So that was the initial part. Obviously, you watch film and you kind of check that box. Why? Why did I check that box? Well, when you watch the film, he makes every throw that you need to make, whether he's in the pocket or on the run. He escapes the pocket. He's a great athlete. He's 6'4", 200 pounds. And he'll be 220 before long, you know. So he has all of those tools that you really love to have. He has similar things that Deshaun had, you know, coming out of high school, as far as the athleticism and being able to throw the football. So very, very excited about Tyson. And in the recruiting process, was able to go up to Connecticut a couple times and just kind of watch him play basketball and get to know him a little bit, and then got him down here for I think early spring last year for the first time with his family, and then he came back for the spring game, and that's when he committed. And it was a neat day for him and for us to get a kid like that.
Coach, when you have a true freshman who did what Trevor did, does that just take recruiting to another level?
Yeah, it really does. I mean, I think anytime you have a guy that's in the spotlight like Trevor was throughout this whole season, and to be able to handle the spotlight like he did, and be so successful, I think is very intriguing. And then obviously, shoot, when you see who he's able to throw the ball to, when you see who is blocking for him and running the ball, and so on and so forth, it's very intriguing. And it's fun to go out there throughout the recruiting cycle and sell that to these guys. It's so easy to sell it. I mean, it's just facts, and it's I think people, when they watch us, they see the passion, they see the talent, but then when you go into schools, you know, it just makes it that much easier because of what we've been able to produce here and the type of kids that we have.
Brandon, when you're out recruiting, how much of a factor, you know, Clemson has a well-deserved reputation as wide receiver you.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're out there, do you hear from potential recruits saying, I want to continue that tradition, be a part of that? How much does that weigh in?
Well, it's funny you ask that because, I mean, honestly, you can pick the position and it could be QBU, it could be running back U, it could be O-line. I mean, it really is turning into, you know, we've had unbelievable wide receivers here and continue to have unbelievable wide receivers. But I think all of us coaches could argue, heck, it could be DBU, it could be, you know, it could be any position, but, you know, kind of like I was saying earlier, when you have those special players that we've had in the past at receiver, and they know the facts of what they're going to get here as a student athlete and the degree that they're going to get from Clemson University, and then the opportunity that they're going to have to play at the next level, and the stats that we can show them, the guys that we have in the NFL, I mean, it's incredible. So it just makes it that much easier, and there's just proof out there that there's not a better program to do that for. And so it makes it very, very intriguing. And then for me as the quarterbacks coach, being able to go out there to, you know, all over the country and sell that. I mean, that is such a big selling point for me with quarterbacks to say, listen, you need to go and compare who you're throwing to, you know, with us and whoever else you're looking at, because that's a big part of it. Deshaun Watson and Kelly Bryant and Trevor Lawrence and those guys that I've worked with here, they have been great players. There's no doubt about it. They're special players. But the guys that they're throwing to make them even that much better. And just being able to have that is a very big security blanket for the quarterbacks and to recruit quarterbacks like that.
Brandon, obviously 2 years ago, it meant a lot in recruiting to outlast Alabama and to, you know, win a championship. What is the impact of now beating Alabama by 4 touchdowns?
Yeah.
In a totally different way.
I mean, it's been incredible. I think there's, you know, it's hard to not argue the fact that, you know, we dominated that game, and you know, I just think that by us being able to go into the state of Alabama and recruit like we've been the last year or two, you know, I think that things have been changing. You know, things are changing, and I think that it's just proof. Obviously, Alabama's an unbelievable program, but we're the best one right now, and it's hard to argue that. I mean, it really is. It's hard to argue that, and it's so neat to see our team this year, but especially our seniors, go through that transition of, you know, losing to them in 15, beating them in 16, and then losing to them in 17, then going out on a high note and beating them in this past year. Just the senior class that we had, and the special leadership quality that they had. It was just neat to see them come back after they could have left last year, and some of those guys and came back and be able to overcome that hurdle that we had last year and weren't able to get it done, and come back and, hey, won 2 of the last 3. So you know, I think it's a big statement, you know, by winning by 4 touchdowns. And then the coolest thing about that game was the last drive. I mean, over a 10-minute drive, longest in school history. Started on the -1, ended up on the 5 or 4 yard line, and just stopped playing, you know, to let the clock run out. Pretty special, pretty special.
Kind of on a similar note, with so many recruits wanting to look at Clemson right now, how often are you guys hearing from Bevo Sweeney regarding the 2020 class and even beyond? Slow down, slow down.
You know him too well. Very, very often. I mean, and it's so neat because it has worked. I mean, there is year in and year out, you know, it's very intriguing to get very excited about younger recruits. But to really slow down and watch these kids play 2 or 3 years in high school before you go all in on them, it is very important, because, you know, you see them in their sophomore year and they look great, and then all of a sudden their junior year maybe they plateaued and didn't perform as well, and then other guys emerge, other guys are maturing and getting more playing time and overtake them in the process. And you see a little bit more upside in certain guys when you wait a little bit longer. And so Coach Sweeney says it all the time to our staff. And, you know, we're aggressive. We want to go get the best, you know, and the best fit for Clemson. And we got to start early, at least starting to get to know these guys. But the more patient we are, the more right we are. And that's worked here at Clemson.
Brandon, you've seen the recruiting footprint since you've taken over as coordinator grow and grow and grow and expand out. What's it like to be able to reach out to what so-called anchor states like California, Texas, and now get the reciprocal interest that you do in getting recruits like Ngata and players like that?
It's really neat. I mean, it is neat to go into, you know, states that are further away and just be so receptive by their coaches and by, you know, everybody in the school, really. You know, you turn a lot of heads now. Whereas, you know, 6, 7, 8 years ago, they're wondering where you're from, you know, and that Paul is so powerful right now because of the success and because of the impact that we've had on our student athletes, and them spreading that word. It's been really, really special. And, you know, and it's more of now those players reaching out to us. And us still being, especially from being so far away at first, Coach Sweeney will tell you, he'll sit these guys down in his office if they show up on campus and say, why would you come from California to Clemson? Just, what are you thinking? Why? Trying to get an answer like, what is so intriguing about Clemson? And if they make that effort to come out here, they got a good reason, because it costs some money to get out here. And they have great reasons, and usually those type of kids and those type of families are the perfect fit. And so we just have to do a great job with our footprint of not being spread so thin that we're just bombarding those states that you mentioned, but we're making sure that if we go out there to those states, we're getting guys that are a perfect fit for our university, and not just going to get guys that are 5-star, 4-star, whatever. They got to be a perfect fit, and still make sure that, hey, these closest states to Clemson in South Carolina are our priority, and our roster proves that. But I know that there's been some interest in states that are further away, and heck yeah, if they're a perfect fit for Clemson, we're going to be excited about it.
Coach, after going through the early signing day twice now, is there anything you had to change or tweak? And do you think the early signing period is effectuating more mid-years? You have more this year, 17, than you've ever had before.
Yeah, I don't know necessarily that the early signing period affects our mid-years. It's more of how many guys are graduating from our team and from our roster to get the mid-years. But I've really enjoyed the last 2 early signing periods. You know, just because. When a kid knows especially for us, when a kid knows he's coming to Clemson or commits to Clemson, he doesn't decommit. It just doesn't happen. And, you know, we have 90% plus of our signees for that whole class know that they're coming to Clemson by December. And so why not sign them? and it's a relief for them too. Signing, it's over with, and now whether they're a mid-year or they're a June enrollee, now they can just focus on whatever their next phase is. And for us, we still go to their homes, and we still go see them at school if they're not a mid-year guy in January, even if they sign in December. All right, but it's not nearly as nerve-wracking to hold on to those guys because they've already signed. They know where they're going. So I think it's been good on both ends, and everybody's got different opinions on that, but I think it's been really good for us as coaches. And I believe the signees and the student athletes like it better too. That's just my opinion. Now, there have been some situations where, signing day, what day was that? The 21st maybe of December, somewhere around there. We've been fortunate to be in a bowl game that's later on, but I've talked to some friends of mine that are playing in bowl games that day. So that's definitely an interesting dynamic, and makes it for a little bit of a hectic deal. So I don't know what they would say, but I know that it is a little bit different when they're playing in a game in the Bahamas for the Bahamas Bowl, out of the country, and signing guys. So that would be interesting.
Take a couple more.
You mentioned fit. Coach Sweeney told us a couple months ago that he instructs the staff, don't be afraid to let a good player walk. Is that ever intimidating, or do you ever worry if you're letting the wrong guy walk out the door?
Great question. No, to be honest with you, because Coach Sweeney makes it very clear, that the number one thing is the fit, and don't worry about making someone or coaches at that high school or everybody feel bad about cutting a guy loose from recruiting him anymore. As long as we understand that, hey, he might not be the right fit for Clemson, and we hear a little bit more about him every time we go to that high school, and we see that he is a fit or he's not a fit, because we ask more and more questions the more we go. And so, with our job in recruiting, we got to be right, and we definitely have pressure on us to be right, but we need to be right, especially with the fit piece. All right, and obviously you check the boxes with the talent, but man, if we're not right in the fit for this university and for our culture, then they'll stick out like a sore thumb, and we don't want to be a part of that.
Brendan, how has Trevor handled himself the last few weeks? Because what he's accomplished is not average, so it'd be easy to kind of blow up and things like that. And did you have any concerns at all about how he'd handle it?
No, I really didn't have any concerns, and I really don't. Just because of who he is as a person, and where he comes from with his family. To be honest with you, this kid is driven and focused, and honestly doesn't care a whole lot. I'm sure he's excited about getting some of these accolades, but he just wants to win and be a great teammate. That's what he wants to do, and be an awesome student here at Clemson. That's what this is the phase of his life where he just wants to be at his best one day at a time and take one day at a time. And so it doesn't surprise me at all how he's taken the success and the notoriety and the spotlight. I recruited him since he was in 9th grade, so I've known he and his family for that long, and I just knew that the poise that he has and how grounded he is, and then throughout that whole process of recruiting him, he was the easiest recruit I've ever had to recruit. It was so easy because he knew what he wanted, he set his goals, and he went out and attacked them, and he knew what he wanted. It was like Deshaun, and I didn't recruit Deshaun, but that's what I heard about Deshaun. He knew what he wanted, he set his goals, and he went out and attacked them, and he's so laser focused. And it was just impressive to see him go through the season, though, and it didn't surprise me, but still, to know that he was a true freshman and to go through the season and do what he was able to do on a big stage, just shows everybody out there that he's such a poised kid and driven.
So he hasn't shown up in a limo to meetings, asked for steak and lobster at dinner, things like that. Nothing like that.
Not yet, but just a great kid. And like Coach Sweeney said, we haven't been around them much. I've seen them probably 2 times, maybe 3 times since we've won the national championship. So I saw them quickly walk through there today. We're gonna have a quick meeting after our team meeting, so we'll be able to regroup. But we're already on to next season, and Coach Sweeney does a great job of making sure our players and our coaches and our staff, we got to start over. You know, what you did last year doesn't matter. The confidence helps from last year for sure, but you got to reprove yourself. So you got to re-earn it one step at a time, one day at a time. And our guys, talking to Coach Batson and the staff down there already, I mean, these guys are attacking it. So we got some go-getters. So that's who he is. That's what Trevor's about. And you know, I already got goals set up for them, and they put their own goals out. So it's pretty neat.
All right. Thanks, everybody.